The United States and the United Kingdom have long enjoyed a unique bond, often described as a special relationship. This alliance, forged in the fires of two world wars, has been a cornerstone of the post-war global order. It is an alliance deeply rooted in shared values, cultural affinity, and a common commitment to democracy and free markets. For decades, the United Kingdom has been America's closest ally, a reliable partner on the world stage and a key pillar of NATO. The special relationship, however, has always been a complex and evolving one. Despite their deep ties, the two nations have not always seen eye to eye. There have been disagreements and tensions over the years, from the Suez Crisis in 1956 to the Iraq War in 2003. Yet, through it all, the underlying strength of the US-UK partnership has endured. This enduring bond is now being tested as never before. The United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union, coupled with the rise of China as a global power, has introduced new strains into the transatlantic relationship. In recent years, cracks have begun to appear in the seemingly unshakable foundation of the US-UK partnership. The UK's decision to proceed with the use of Huawei technology in its 5G network, despite strong objections from Washington, was a clear sign of strain. The US government, citing security concerns, urged its allies to ban Huawei, but the UK opted for a more nuanced approach, allowing the Chinese tech giant limited involvement in its 5G infrastructure. Trade has also become a point of contention. The post-Brexit landscape has forced the UK to recalibrate its trade policies, seeking new partnerships beyond Europe. This has led to increased trade tensions with the US, particularly in areas like steel and aluminum. The Trump administration's imposition of tariffs on British goods further inflamed the situation, highlighting the growing economic divide between the two nations. Defense spending has been another source of friction. The US has long urged its NATO allies, including the UK, to increase their defense budgets to meet the perceived threat from Russia and other adversaries. While the UK has committed to increasing its defense spending, it has fallen short of the 2% of GDP target set by NATO, drawing criticism from some quarters in Washington. The UK-China rail infrastructure deal, announced in 2024, represents a significant departure from the UK's traditional alignment with the United States. The deal, valued at an estimated £100 billion, approximately $130 billion, will see Chinese companies playing a major role in the development of high-speed rail lines and other infrastructure projects across the UK. This includes not only the construction of new rail lines, but also the modernization of existing infrastructure, signaling systems, and rolling stock. This landmark agreement is part of China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a global infrastructure development strategy aimed at expanding Chinese influence and trade routes around the world. The BRI, often dubbed the New Silk Road, involves massive investments in roads, railways, ports, and other infrastructure projects in countries across Asia, Africa, Europe, and beyond. The UK's decision to embrace the BRI, despite its controversial aspects, has raised eyebrows in Washington and beyond. The scale of Chinese involvement in the UK rail project is substantial. Chinese companies will be responsible for providing engineering expertise, construction materials, and financing for a significant portion of the project. This will involve the transfer of technology and expertise from China to the UK, potentially boosting the UK's construction and engineering sectors. However, it also raises concerns about Chinese influence over critical infrastructure in a key Western country. Critics argue that this level of Chinese involvement could give Beijing leverage over the UK in the future, particularly if the UK becomes reliant on Chinese financing or technology. The UK-China rail deal has sparked a heated debate within the UK and beyond. Supporters of the deal argue that it is a pragmatic move that will bring much-needed investment to the UK's aging infrastructure. They point to the potential economic benefits, including job creation and increased trade, as justification for the partnership. Critics, however, raise concerns about the long-term implications of allowing China such a significant role in UK infrastructure. They argue that the deal could compromise UK national security, particularly if it gives China access to sensitive data or control over critical infrastructure. They also worry about the potential for corruption and lack of transparency in projects involving Chinese companies. The UK's decision to partner with China on such a strategically important project must be seen through the lens of Brexit. Having left the European Union, the UK is seeking to redefine its place in the world and forge new economic and political alliances. The UK government sees China as a key partner in this endeavor, a source of investment, trade, and diplomatic support. However, this pivot towards China carries risks. It has the potential to alienate the UK's traditional allies, particularly the United States, which views China's rise with growing suspicion. The UK's balancing act between its historical ties with the US and its burgeoning relationship with China will be one of the defining features of its post-Brexit foreign policy. The UK-China rail deal has exposed divisions within British society and the political establishment. While the government has championed the deal as a sign of the UK's global outlook and its commitment to forging new partnerships, others have expressed deep reservations. Opposition politicians have criticized the deal as short-sighted and potentially damaging to the UK's long-term interests. They argue that the government has prioritized economic expediency over national security and strategic considerations. Public opinion on the deal is also divided, reflecting the broader anxieties about China's growing influence and the UK's place in the world. The US government has expressed concern about the UK-China rail deal, viewing it as another sign of the UK's drift away from its traditional transatlantic partnership. While the US has not publicly condemned the deal, it has made its displeasure known through diplomatic channels. The US is particularly concerned about the potential security implications of the deal, fearing that it could give China a backdoor into critical UK infrastructure. The US has also warned the UK about the risks of becoming overly reliant on Chinese investment and technology. The UK-China rail deal is a significant development in the evolving geopolitical landscape. It is a sign of China's growing global reach and its willingness to invest in strategic infrastructure projects around the world. It also reflects the UK's determination to chart its own course in a post-Brexit world, even if it means forging new partnerships that may not sit comfortably with its traditional allies. Whether this deal marks the beginning of a new geopolitical era remains to be seen. However, it is clear that the UK's decision to partner with China on such a scale has sent ripples through the international system. It is a reminder that the old certainties of the post-war order are fading, and that the world is entering a new era of geopolitical competition and realignment.